To you by My 11 Circle. Win first prize 1 crore and luxury car. Download now.
So, hello and welcome to Sports Talk Sports. Today it's the Champions League time, and on the one side we have Real Madrid versus Manchester City. On the other side we have Inter Milan versus AC Milan, and for that we have a very special guest with us. He's a former English footballer and also the part of a Sony Sports panelist, Ashley Westwood. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So, Ashley, let's talk first about Real Madrid versus Manchester City. It's not the first time that these two teams are meeting in this competition. But looking at Manchester City, do you see Erling Haaland as their potent attack?
Well, obviously, 50 goals would suggest that. But I think the strength of Manchester City is the fact that they have, multiple match winners right across. Never mind the 11, the squad. You look at Bernardo Silva's in great form on the right-hand side, Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne that seem to be the favoured centre midfielders that get forward very well. Jack Grealish on the left-hand side is in fine form. And then you have people like Mahrez that recently came off the bench, scored a hat-trick. Phil Foden's now back into the fray. And that's a scary, attack when you think about those players. I think most teams right across Europe would take 2 or 3 of those players, but to possess, 6 or 7 just shows you the strength of the attackers they have.
So actually, both the teams are superb in their own style. They both have their own playing style, attacking advantages, disadvantages, and all. But according to you, what is that main difference that brings both the teams apart from each other?
I think with Manchester City, it's the flexibility they have. Recently this season, Guardiola's chopped and changed his formations, even his style to some extent. Sometimes as the fullbacks expansive high and wide, sometimes they tuck inside and play into midfield. Sometimes they have 2 holding midfielders and play 3 at the back. Sometimes they play 4-3-3, it becomes like a 4-5-1 if you like, with 5 attackers. There's many different ways that they play. I think with Real Madrid, we more or less know how they're going to play. That'll be 4-3-3 with 3 midfielders that like to get forward in Valverde, Kroos and Modric if he is fit. And they, rely heavily on the individuality of Vinicius on the left, Rodrigo on the right-hand side, and obviously the know-how and the mastery, as you say, of Benzema up front. We know how they're going to play. I don't think it's going to be any different. They've got 2 very strong central defenders as well, Real Madrid, that we've seen in the last game. But City's flexibility in the way that maybe Guardiola could tweak the tactics could be just giving them the slight advantage for me.
The City will play first at Santiago Bernabeu. Do you see Pep Guardiola going with a different approach, going with a much defensive approach against Madrid at Santiago Bernabeu?
No, I don't think he will. He'll try and be on the front foot. If you sit back against Real Madrid, then you're inviting people like Vinicius, Rodrigo to come and hurt you with their pace. You're inviting Modric and Kroos to get control of midfield. And, Benzema will operate in small margins and find the space in the box. So you won't want to invite them. But the thing I will say is, I think it's an advantage different from last season. Manchester City played away in the second leg. I went to Madrid and watched it. And the crowd were incredible. They almost influenced the game. It felt like they were sucking the ball into the net. And to play away first, and then to be at the City Stadium for the return leg, I think gives them an advantage because they wouldn't want to be going to the second leg. It looked like they'd done enough in the first leg and even in the second leg to get through to the tie. And then all of a sudden that crowd kicked in. And it made a huge difference. So that's the advantage as well I see for Manchester City.
If we look at Real Madrid, or if we talk about Real Madrid, there are 3 players, Vinicius Junior, Karim Benzema and Rodrigo, apart from Kroos and Modric as well. But these 3 are very much, if we say about Madrid, these 3 are very crucial for their attack.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Modric is rumoured to maybe miss the game through injury, which will be a huge loss. I think Valverde is showing that he's coming into, his own as one of the best midfielders who can, get around the pitch with huge energy. He can be strong in a tackle and he's got an incredible strike on him, and he's getting goals. Linking up well with the attackers and getting forward into the box, like we've seen in the last fixtures of the Champions League. And obviously, Cruz needs no explanation. We know of his abilities, control. He's a seasoned campaigner with Modric, and they like to keep the football. They like to keep possession, and they know how to do it. They've won it time and time again, and they're seasoned campaigners. So they are important to link that attack up. But again, we've also mentioned the pace they have wide, which is also key as well.
If we see Manchester City, one good thing is that their defense has done really well this time. John Stones has done well. Kyle Walker has done well. Nathan Ake is another player in the back line. And do you see any difference against this team? If we compare Real Madrid defense and Manchester City defense, which team has a better balance at the back?
I think with Manchester City, it's not so much about the personnel, which are well, I'm not taking anything away from the good players. It's been the tactical shift in the way they've defended. Like I've mentioned, they used to play with the fullbacks high and wide. This season, more often than not, the fullbacks tuck into midfield, and that gives them, to try and counter the counter-attack, if you like. It gives them some security. So you have maybe 3 central defenders, or even at times 2 central defenders. But you also have the fullbacks coming into midfield that stops teams counter-attacking on, which has been their weakness over, the last few seasons. They've always been vulnerable to that counter-attack because they have so much possession. So that's why they've been good at the back this season. It's been that tactical shift. But then when we're looking at Real Madrid, obviously Militao is a very strong central defender. He's good on his day. They chopped and changed the central defender partners last time. They made a very clever substitution. Ancelotti late doors probably 30 minutes to go in the last game. They have a couple of options at centre defence. I'm not quite sure if Militao's available. Possibly could be suspended if I remember rightly, which will be a huge loss because he is physical. He's got a big presence, and he's a good player.
The last couple of questions from you, Ashley. Let's talk about the other match, Inter Milan versus AC Milan. Both these teams have waited for a long time to reach at this point.
Yeah, certainly have. And what a game it is. Obviously, a derby at the San Siro. It doesn't get any bigger than that. They've both got 57 points in the league. They both all scored the same amount of goals, conceded the same amount of goals. There's nothing between them. And I'm sure the crowd are going to play their part in this game, and you're not probably going to see too many better atmospheres than at the San Siro when it comes to the day.
I want to know your opinion about these two teams. According to you, which team has a better possession game?
I think possession game, Inter Milan will have the better possession game. I think what we have seen with AC Milan is how resilient they are and how they can defend. 5 out of 5 clean sheets until the last game in the Champions League, and they only conceded with 2 minutes to go. Otherwise, it would have been 6 out of 6 in the Champions League. And if you think that they played against Napoli in that quarter-final, Napoli averaged 3.75 goals per game, and they only scored 1 goal across 180 minutes, and that was in the dying minutes when they just threw cautions to the wind and scored from a set piece, a corner, because they threw everybody forward. So they just have the edge for me because, defensive-wise, they've shown that they can dig in. And obviously on that counter-attack, Leao, Brahim, Diaz, fantastic wing players with individuality and speed. And obviously the talisman, if you like, the old-fashioned centre-forward of Giroud, linking everything up, just gives them the edge. But possession-wise, to answer your question, Inter Milan will shade it. But I think AC Milan are a little bit more dangerous.
So according to you, what will be the prediction of the first leg? First Madrid versus City, and then both the Milan teams.
Yeah, I can see there being goals in certainly the City and Madrid game. I don't think there'll be a clean sheet there. I'm hoping that Manchester City edge it 2-1, but it's going to be a tightly contested game with lots of quality. It's going to be really high level from ability-wise and technicality of the players. And in the second game, I think it's going to be a lot more cagey, knowing that there's 2 legs, knowing the way AC Milan can defend. It's going to be very, very small margins. And I could, if I'm being honest, I could see the first game of the Milan game being a 0-0. It'll be exciting. It won't be boring 0-0, but it'll certainly be tactical and cagey, knowing what's on stake. And, they've got the return leg where kind of both teams are at home anyway.
So let's see how it goes and which team takes the first leg win. Thanks for talking to us, Ashley. And
Thank
to
you.
all of
Thanks
you,
for
you
having
can
me.
also watch Champions League semi-final match on Sony Sports Network. Thank you.
मैच से जुड़े आपके हर सवाल का हम देंगे जवाब। जानने के लिए हर अपडेट, लाइव एनालिसिस, स्पेशल इंटरव्यूज, डाउनलोड कीजिए स्पोर्ट्स तक ऐप।